This week we are going to be talking about female arousal, desire, and orgasm. I'm so glad that you're joining us for another week of Staying on Top with me, Nicoletta. So I was at lunch with my friend recently, and she was asking me a lot about what are some of the common things that women come and see me about. And she was kind of shocked to learn that a lot of women I have are either anorgasmic, which means that they have not had an orgasm, or women who do not feel like they can orgasm with a partner. And so I wanted to try to explain this to her, and hopefully I can explain it to you, but if you have more questions about it, feel free to subscribe, comment, let me know what else you would like to hear. So a lot of women that I've seen as clients or just friends, people in passing, a lot of them expect that the person they're with, for example, a man, should know how to make them orgasm. As you might remember from another video that I did with Nina Hartley, she talked about how we can't depend on another person to make us orgasm. We have to help teach them how to find our orgasm. But a lot of people that I see are really frustrated, and you know, I don't know if this is heteronormative, but it often happens to be a female partner with their male partner. And so they feel like, I don't know what's wrong, I don't know what's happening in my sex life, like he can't make me come during sex, I don't know what's wrong with me. And they feel a lot of shame and a lot of upset because they feel like they're not functioning properly, and then they notice that their partner gets upset because they feel like, well, why can't I please you? But in reality, I think this is so normal. First of all, as I've talked about in one of my shorter videos on Instagram, only 30% of women can orgasm, climax, come, whatever you want to call it, from vaginal intercourse alone. And so most women need some other kind of stimulation. And unless you're dating someone who has more than 2 arms or an octopus or something, often you need to play a part in it. I think a lot of women feel uncomfortable about touching themselves in front of a partner or pleasing themselves at the same time. Like they think, oh, if it's really good, I'm just gonna be able to orgasm from whatever my partner is doing alone. But honestly, there are very few women that I know that don't also need some clitoral stimulation, maybe nipple stimulation, something else, or maybe multiple things going on at the same time. And you know, you might have 2 hands, maybe you don't have 2 hands, but hopefully you know, you're a person who can find some other gadgets or something to use if it's not your hands that can help you get there. Often women have described to me feeling really frustrated afterwards if they can't orgasm, and feeling like, you know, when the sex ends for their male partner or whoever their partner is, that's the end of it, I wasn't able to come, like that whole shameful, like, what's wrong with me, why didn't this happen? But it is totally normal, and I would say, I would encourage it, that it doesn't have to end there. Like, just because your partner came and maybe it was taking you a little bit longer that day, like, you can finish yourself off. Like, there is no shame in doing that, and I think easier said than done. Obviously, we have a lot of messages that we've learned growing up, or comforts with our own body, where we might not be able to say like, hey babe, I need you to wait a second, like while I make myself come or while you watch me orgasm. It's so normal. It does not have to be the end of your sex thing. And also, sex sometimes, or intimacy, does not have to end in orgasm. But it's totally normal for people to have different paces and different timing. I know that maybe in pornos or whatever, or movies we watch as like 2 people orgasm together and it's explosive and there's fireworks and we're so connected. But like in reality, chances are it's gonna happen at different times and in different ways. So you're kind of just like playing a little bit of catch up, and you can involve your partner in that or not, but there's nothing wrong with lending yourself a helping hand. So obviously I can preach all of these things to you, but it's, like I said, easier said than done. So you might not be at a point where you can just be like, oh, I'm gonna go do this and I'm gonna feel so confident to like tell this to my partner. If you're in a place where you feel like you're not able to communicate those desires, or you don't know how to, it can be really scary. So go check out my video last week that I did with Charlie Glickman that talks about expressing your desires, or give me a call, send me an email, and I would love to give you some other resources so you can start getting what you want and feeling a little more comfortable with navigating your own body and your own arousal. I talked about this in one of my shorter Instagram clips, but I think this is a really important little tidbit to remember, that female desire and female arousal works kind of in a circular way. And so what that means is that it's not like you start here and you start climbing and then you get aroused and then you orgasm and then, you know, afterwards like a hill. It's more like a circle. And so what actually happens, especially for women who are in a long-term committed type of relationship, is that desire and arousal actually comes after things get started, like after intimacy starts, after touching starts. And this isn't to say that you should or have to force yourself to engage in, you know, sexy time with your partner if you really don't want to, but know that sometimes you might not start at that like horny, excited place that your partner is at, especially your male partner, if you have one, but that things might have to get going first. You might have to get warmed up, and then the desire comes, and then the arousal happens. And if you realize you kind of start getting into it and are open to the idea of it happening and you still don't feel aroused, then maybe you can say, you know what, I'm not in the mood, or maybe another time. But I think what you will notice is that if you're open to the possibility of becoming aroused and allowing yourself to build to that point, you might actually be surprised how into it you get. But there's a fine line between forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do and being open to the possibility of getting turned on. Thank you so much for joining me for another week of my Staying on Top series. If you like this, please comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I would love to hear what other videos you would like to see from me.